was saying. You wouldn't believe what I saw.
Greetings, Grog and Lindor. Inform me of your progress. That's right. We're going to take over the planet. But we can't do it unless you get those babies into that playhouse.
Say it would rise to 105% of GDP over the next 10 years.
You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
And third, he has violated his oath of office.
He's being kept updated basis on this, clearly, but just don't have any.
Context and a great deal more risk from.
Who gave him a black eye?
We wouldn't have the advantage of the school holidays.
Okay, no.
This is
Well, I'm too, Boris.
A time
Look at me. That's it. Good boy.
The last 6 months have laid bare fundamental gaps and inequities within our societies and between them. As with climate change, those who have the least are impacted the most. That's why last spring, Canada worked with Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Secretary General Antonio Guterres to convene a high-level meeting to discuss how leaders around the world could work together to close these gaps and build a better, more equitable system that works for everyone. In May, we agreed to look at 6 urgent areas of action to mobilize financing for the response and the recovery. Over the course of the summer, our 6 working groups produced over 250 policy options. On September 8th, finance ministers gathered to discuss these options and their recommendations for the short, medium, and long term.
Or your Britain's Got Talent.
Oh, hello.
Which one is your favourite and why?
Oh. Well, to be fair, they are more intelligent in America.
Ooh, in America?
In America, yeah.
You don't mean that disrespectfully.
No, they are more intelligent.
What, Heidi Klum? She's thick as pig shit.
Now he can't be sacked. He'll just say anything he wants.
Exactly. So I said he'll be out of control now.
Taking that to a side, look, it's difficult. I like them both. I like these guys because they're sort of stupid.
But that do not appear in Mark are very likely to be older than Mark, because they're filled with the putative sayings of Jesus. Likely. Very likely to be older than Mark, because they're filled with the putative sayings of Jesus. Likely. So doesn't mean this is authentic, doesn't mean Jesus actually said, that's pure speculation. But it's probably earlier. Okay? So what we find in the Christian Bible does not support
We are citizens. It's a word that doesn't just describe our nationality or our legal status. It describes the way we're made.
I don't care if you think I'm Satan reincarnated.
Ever since, you know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, man. Y'all ain't gotta believe me. It is what it is. I'm not even capping. It's because, listen, I had to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I had to do it because I was trying to make it, like, you feel me? Like, and as if when I was, like, selling my soul, like, there was things that I could sacrifice about and stuff like that, and I sacrificed myself. I could have sacrificed anybody, but but when you
we should be very careful about artificial intelligence. If I were to guess at what our biggest existential threat is, it's probably that. So we need to be very careful with artificial intelligence. I'm increasingly inclined to think that there should be some regulatory oversight maybe at the national and international level, just to make sure that we don't do something very foolish. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Didn't work out.
I take it there will be no HAL 9000 going up to Mars.
HAL 9000 would be easy. It's way more complex than, I mean, it would put HAL 9000 to shame. Yeah. Sounds like a puppy dog.
Musk is not who you think he is.
Trying to get data out of the thing. Yeah. We're trying to like do a mission. You're just trying to get data out of the thing. Yeah. And why do you embrace it, or how do you teach that culture even that it's okay when you're not even trying to, like, SN8 is a perfect example.
This is a game. Y'all think this is a game? This is who our enemies are, right here. You see that? They're half-breed reptilian races. Draco and reptilians. They're different races. These are the ones that we have been taking out.
Is to wake up and to warn people, and basically, if the nation of Israel will start to scream to Hashem from the deep of the trouble, Hashem will hear them, and He is the only one. Baruch Atah Hashem Gaal Israel. Only Hashem is Gaal Israel, not us by consulting about any action by human force, because we're not dealing here with human forces. We're dealing here with, I don't want to say everything that I know, but we're dealing here with demons definitely, and even demons that look like a human being among us. I'm not talking about possessed by demons. I'm talking about demons that exist as a human being. Some of the Gentiles know about them, and they know how to recognize them. They call them reptilians. Okay, but they exist, and they want to conquest. And I'll tell you why. Do they look like from people? They look not from people. Talking about people that are above the ground. Above the ground. Is there a test that you can identify them? I'll tell you what. First of all, let's go back to the ancient time. Let's go back to the ancient time. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. When the snake, what's the problem? What's the story there?
Yeah. Supposedly that there's the tall gray aliens and there's the reptoids are the two types that are at this base, from what I've been able to understand. I might be wrong. There could be more. But from what I've heard about the Greys. Yes, they do like to predate on humans, and they actually make a sort of a drug out of their adrenal gland that they call adrenochrome that they get high on, and which goes right along the lines with the same thing with the reptilians, who like to have the humans that they're going to eat be extremely terrified before they eat them, because apparently they like the taste of the meat better that way. And I can state from personal experience that I've had meat from a slaughterhouse where they were not very careful about not terrorizing the animals before they delivered the death blow to them. And you could tell the difference. You could taste the difference in the meat. So that's a no BS right there. I can personally bet that there is a difference in the way the meat tastes. And, whether these things get high off it or whatever, there's other people that are on the same page that we are on that think that they are probably demons. And they think that these things actually can derive sustenance from negative emotion in some fashion, that, fear, sadness, heartache, whatever, negative emotions, anger, rage, all these things, that they actually can somehow derive some sort of sustenance from it. So, I mean, there's another weird thing that sort of ties in with all of this.
Yeah, it does. It really makes you wonder what's going on up there in this whole thing and what the agenda is. It's kind of like the insider I had on with Chris. Coincidentally, it was the Air Force that was cracking down on Chris. And Chris was told, don't talk about any sort of DNA manipulation, don't talk about aliens, stick to Bigfoot and minimize what you say. And it's just shocking to me. I think one day these things are going to pop up and everyone's reality is going to be shaken to the core.
Let you guys make the final decision on what you think.
Yeah, I had a guy on one time. He goes, and this is one of those stories I never put on the air. It was a law enforcement guy, and he was in New Mexico, and he said he ran into, they were on a dirt bike, a mountain biking race or something to that effect. And he said what he saw is this thing cross the road. Well, I'm thinking we're going to talk about Bigfoot. And as he's describing it to me, he said it looked like, he goes, I think it was an alien. And I go, it was what? And he goes, well, it was like a half man, half lizard running across the road. It was upright, like how we walk, but had the face of a snake or face of a lizard. And he said it ran up into the rocks and it was gone. And the other interesting point he said it had a tail. And so for the longest time, I was trying to figure out what this guy was talking about, because he's not describing a dog man. He's not really describing a Sasquatch. And I'm not really big into the alien thing, but this guy was as sincere as they come. And I just could not figure out what this guy was talking about. And he didn't even know. And so, as you go into this whole story of Dulce and this deep underground military base, you hear a lot of weird stories. I think there was a security guy that got killed there. Have you heard about that?
I'm not sure that I've heard that one.
Yeah, it was, I'm trying to remember where I heard it from. The story goes, it was a military guy, and it's 8 levels of this underground base. And humans were not allowed to go to like level 7 and 8. And in level 6, you could hear people screaming for help. And he ended up going down there by mistake. He got stuck on the elevator. He went down there by mistake. And he said there's like people in cages, there's children in cages, and he ended up running into one of, he called it the Dracos too. He ran into one of the Dracos, and he got reprimanded for that. He basically got fired. He got, I don't remember the whole story. He got fired. Something happened with his job. But anyway, he started talking to one of his other friends that were on the base, and they say that the Dracos actually eat people. They get off on, it has to do with the adrenal glands. When you become scared, they almost kind of get off on it. And when I heard Phil Snyder talking that exact same thing, it kind of brought chills up my spine, because I had heard that before. Sometimes I think in life, fact is stranger than fiction.